Welcome to this week's coaches questions. So got 3 for you. It's going to be slightly longer than 10-minute video this, but hopefully you've got a little bit of information that you're going to find helpful. So 3 things I'm going to cover: training in a different gym, my thoughts on intermittent fasting, and wearing a belt when lifting. So into our first question. Training in a different gym. What are the pros and the cons? Well, different gyms will have different equipment. So this here will come down to how flexible your plan is and whether it allows you to accommodate different forms of equipment. And it will also come down to how you can gauge your weight within a new environment. So people will change gyms, maybe they move, maybe they have to change gyms because of work, maybe they are working in different locations, or maybe you just want a fresh place to train. And training in a new environment can be great, especially if there's people within that environment that are very motivational and make you train harder and better. So if you've outgrown your gym, if you're lifting the biggest weights in the gym, it's time to get out of that gym and go find a new gym. And also a lot of gyms will be quite varied on the types of equipment they have. So when you go to a gym, obviously a barbell is a barbell and it's going to feel pretty much the same. So a bench press, a squat, a deadlift, most of those movements, a 20 kilo Olympic bar is going to feel very much like a 20 kilo Olympic bar with whatever load you then add to it. Yes, some of us may be a bit fussy if we've got Olympic plates or hex plates and things like that. And also bars can actually feel different. If you've trained in a gym with, say, specialist squat or deadlift bars, you'll realise that a standard Olympic bar will feel quite not right, and like the knurling will be off and things like that. But generally those lifts, those big compound barbell movements will feel very much the same. Likewise with dumbbell movements. Yes, some dumbbells feel very big for the amount of weight they are, and equally you can go to gyms where the dumbbells feel quite compact compared to what the weight is. And also that handle thickness will alter from gym to gym as well, but not anything that should stop you having a really good solid session. Where the difference comes in is for machine-based exercises. 1 lat pull down in one gym is going to feel very different to a lat pull down in another gym. Although the same movement, I can guarantee they will feel quite different. Same with like row machines, leg extensions, leg curls, and variations of. So maybe you're in a gym where you've got a lying leg curl, but you go somewhere and it's got a seated leg curl. Very different movement. Considering it's the same movement, it can feel very different. Other gyms, obviously, you just spoil it for choice. So you could go somewhere and have like so much choice, it's brilliant. And also you could find yourself going somewhere that's got a limited amount of choice. But in terms of training in a different gym, obviously barbell and dumbbells, you should be able to kind of gauge very much on your previous numbers, because there shouldn't be a big enough difference to have any crazy knock-on effect. And then when it comes to machines, you very much got to auto-regulate. So if you know that you normally do, say, 3 sets of 10, and that last set is an RP of 9, then you know that if you do 3 sets of 10 on something and your RP is a 9, then it's equivalent to what you've done previously, providing the movement pattern is very much the same. So if you're somebody who's moving from gym to gym frequently, obviously it's good to keep track on the different variations within kit. There's no right or wrong way, but main thing is, as long as those big key compounds with the barbells and dumbbells are being ticked, then the volume that we pick up with machines and different variations of isn't going to be too detrimental to your training. You're still going to see progress, providing you are still training hard, putting in the effort, landing within the sets and reps that are required at the RPE intensity that is required. So yeah, I think training in a different gym can be a very, very positive thing. Although It will take you a bit of time to just kind of establish your numbers. So if you are training in 2 gyms, I would always make note of that, so that you know that the lat pull down in gym A feels 2 plates heavier than the lat pull down in gym B. Just so that when you revisit those gyms, you can be kind of more dialed in. You know it felt a little bit lighter, so guess what, in 6 months' time, it's probably still going to be quite close with how it feels in terms of weight. So yeah, definitely get out there, train in a different gym, dumbbells and barbells are the same, and just gauge on those accessory movements. You're going to have to train by feel, train towards an RPE, and enjoy it. If it means having to take an extra warm-up set to kind of dial the weight in, that's fine. And the more often you do this and the more experienced you become with it, the easier it will be training in a completely different gym environment. So there we go. Go out there, train in different gyms, meet new people, put yourself in a new environment, and chances are you're going to see good results. My thoughts on intermittent fasting. It's a very good tool, but it's nothing magic. So if you are in a calorie deficit, if you're looking for weight loss, or if you're looking for fat loss, then intermittent fasting could be a very good protocol for you. So just to cover what I mean when I say intermittent fasting, because there are slight variations to it. When I mention intermittent fasting, I'm talking of having a shortened feeding window, probably between midday and 8-9 o'clock at night. So typical protocol is normally an 8-hour feeding window. So if you start eating at 1, you then stop eating at 9. And for some people this can be really good for diet adherence, because at the end of the day what truly matters is calories. It's the calorie intake in that day. That doesn't matter if you intake that in 2 meals over the day, 6 meals over the day. If you've got a 2,000 calorie diet and you have 10 200 calorie meals, that's exactly the same as somebody who ate 2 1,000 calorie meals. But it comes down to how it fits your lifestyle. So intermittent fasting is very much about adherence. If it can help you adhere to your diet, brilliant. And when I mention diet adherence, what I want you to consider is when intermittent fasting, we are removing breakfast, and then some people may have like some mid-morning snack or meal maybe between 10 and 12. So if they are not meals that you are fussed about, if you're not somebody who wakes up really hungry for breakfast, then you can save those calories to later in the day, where maybe you are more hungry. So the fact that you don't start eating until, say, after midday, you save up a bunch of calories that you could therefore situate later on in the day or at times where you feel hungrier. Also, evenings are more likely to be a time where we have, say, social events. So if you can save your 600 calories from breakfast, that could be 600 calories to have in the evening in terms of, maybe that could be the dessert. Like, wow, how does he eat dessert every single night? He skips breakfast. Because all you've done is you've still consumed that same number of calories. So if somebody's eating 2,500 calories, they will see no different result to eating them spaced equally throughout the day or eating them in between the hours of 12 and 8. 12 and 8 is no magic number. It's just generally 8 hours gives people enough time to consume enough calories, which is something else. Intermittent fasting will not help you if you cannot get your calorie needs within that time. So if you're somebody who struggles to eat big meals, intermittent fasting probably isn't going to be for you, because when you only have 8 hours to eat, give or take 1 or 2, you then have potentially probably about 3 at the max 4 times you're going to eat. So if you've got 3,000 calories to get in, that's 3 1,000 calorie meals. And if you're somebody listening to this who is currently dieting, you're thinking, whoa, that would be brilliant. It will catch up on you because they're big meals and you're only going to have around 3-4 hours in between each one. 3,000 calories is 3,000 calories no matter how you get it in. So for some people, restricting that eating window down is not going to be beneficial. And it's the same, people who don't have big appetites, even when they're dieting, if they skip breakfast, what they're doing is they're just skipping calories. So instead of eating maybe 1,500 calories, they're just not eating breakfast, which results in them eating 1,100 because they don't change their meals. Their meals stay the same size because they're somebody without a big appetite. Which will slowly, that deficit will catch up with them. They will binge and they won't be going in the right direction. So if intermittent fasting is for you, you're probably somebody who doesn't really favour breakfast, or you're somebody who's very busy in the morning that you're not thinking about food. And also it just means you can just spread those calories that would normally have in the morning into larger meals throughout the back end of the day, but you need to ensure that you can still eat those meals. Calories are still king. Whether you eat it in one meal, 2 meals, between this time or that time, it makes no difference. So intermittent fasting, great tool for some people, but no magic there, just helps adherence. Lifting belts, should you wear one? Well, yes and no. It's going to depend very much upon your reasoning for wearing a lifting belt. So you're going to see 2 types of belts commonly worn. I call the bro belt, which is a belt that will be wider at the back and then it will taper down around the buckle. And then you've got your second type, which I term as a powerlifting belt, which is the same thickness all the way around. So, should you wear a belt? Well, what a belt is for is to enable you to brace your core harder than what you can without a belt. So, in terms of powerlifting, for squats, deadlifts, and even the bench press, by bracing your core down and into a belt, expanding into it, you can brace your core harder with a belt on than without one on. And that's what a belt is intended to do. It's not there to cover up an injury. If you've got an injury or a back problem, sort that first, see a physio, seek specialist help, get that fixed first, and then select exercises that help support that area and that your core and your lower back is not a weak point. So, for example, if you're somebody with, say, lower back issues, you might be better performing a sumo deadlift than a conventional deadlift, because sumo will put the torso in a more upright position. A lot of people with back pain might find that more comfortable. You may be better with a trap bar. You may be better performing, say, like a leg press or a hack squat if you struggle to squat without a belt. I always look at it this way. If you didn't have your belt, would you still do that same lift? I know it may not be the best situation, but if you were in that situation, could you still do it? And in most cases, that should be yes, or very close to. So a lifting belt is there for you to increase that muscular tension through the core, to keep everything fixed and solid for when you're performing a big key movement like a deadlift or a squat. And that is why a powerlifting belt is the same thickness, because then you can apply equal pressure to the core to keep that fixed, rigid, solid core in. Personally, I back squat with a belt and I also pull deadlifts with a belt, and that is just because they are very heavily loaded and I need that extra bracing to make the movement as effective as I can. When I'm performing variations, so when I'm like front squats or stiff leg deadlifts, I do not wear a belt. And I'm not saying that those variations are light. They are still hard and heavy, but I try not to use a belt on everything, because otherwise your core is never truly doing what it's there to do, which is to stabilize the spine. So just to reiterate that one, a training belt isn't there to cover a weakness or bad form. A training belt is there to enable you to brace more effectively, to stabilize the core, to stabilize the spine, and stay safer. So you don't need it for barbell curls. You don't need it for doing front raises. You therefore need to kind of fix your technique. If you're getting pain when performing something like a bicep curl, you are probably using too much momentum. You're probably leaning forwards and back. You look like you're in a rocking chair from somebody on the other side of the gym. You need to sort out your technique, use your bicep, don't use your lower back. So wear a belt if you need that added core tension. If not, and there's an injury or an underlying cause, fix it and then make good, sensible exercise choices. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that has helped give you a bit of an insight on those 3 key topics. If you've got any questions, please feel free, put them in the comments below. If you've got a coaching question, put that in the comments below as well, and I'll catch up with you soon.